Well, hello and welcome back to our channel. My name is Anne and this is Postcards from Our Golden Years.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up and we just sing along. And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving.
Today, I'd like to talk about something totally different. But before I get started, I just wanted to say, we've noticed that we have so many people who watch our videos and follow us, but only half of you are subscribers. So before we get started on today's topic, it would really mean a lot to us if you would just click below, subscribe to our channel, help us grow the channel. I can't believe so many people are watching our videos and you're not subscribers, and it doesn't cost anything. There's nothing better than free, is there? So let's get started. When Jeff and I do videos and we answer your questions, people always ask us, what do you not like about Nice? Tell us one negative thing about Nice or France or your move to France. And our pretty much go-to answer is, I can't think of anything. There's nothing we don't like. I mean, everything's wonderful. Life is great. This is like the best move we ever made in our life. And oh my gosh, if there is some place you want to spend the rest of your life, your golden years, this is it. And you know what? For the most part, that's exactly the truth, 100%. However, most recently, we've dealt with some issues, mostly me. I'm the one who deals with the issues. But we've dealt with some issues that aren't like the best things about France. They're not things that I guess you could say France is known for handling the way we're used to or accustomed to back in the United States. So back in the United States, when you have a business, a restaurant, a retail store, there's an old saying that we all know it because we've all shopped, and some stores even have these signs. The customer is always right. Customer satisfaction is our #1 priority. Refunds, no questions asked. I mean, to the guys watching this video, how many times, now I don't know how many Sears stores are left, but I can remember over the years, my dad and my husband's always talking about the fact that, if you buy something from Sears Roebuck, or in more recent years, Home Depot or Lowe's, if you buy something from there and you didn't use it, you don't want it, you don't need it, you can just take it back. No questions asked. You get a refund. Some stores in the U.S., not the larger ones, but some of the smaller ones, maybe if you show up without a receipt, they'll take it back, no questions asked. They may not give you a refund, but they'll give you credit so you can buy something else. And that's what we are all accustomed to in the United States. So, let me start by saying that is just not the way things are here in France. Now, our first experience with this was back when we bought this lovely couch I'm sitting on. And back in the day, I mean, that was last year, we didn't make a big deal of it. Yeah, it was a sort of a pain in the you-know-what but we just dealt with it. But what had happened was we ordered this. We spent a lot of money, probably more money on this sofa than I have ever spent on a sofa in my entire adult life. The sofa had to be made custom to us, to our order, to our specifications. We saw it in the showroom, and basically what we did is we picked the fabric and the number of sections and what the sections do. So while it wasn't like we didn't come up with the design, the store had the design on the showroom floor, and we loved the couch. We sat on it, it was comfortable. We said we wanted one just like it. And this was, I'm happy to tell you, it was in a store called Cave, K-A-V-E. And they have lovely things there, on the pricey side, but still lovely things. So we worked with a sales representative there, and she did not speak any English. So I dealt with her in France, not a problem. I'm happy to do that. I'm fortunate that I know enough French to be able to order furniture. So we ordered the couch, we ordered this specific fabric, and we said that we wanted the couch installed. So when you buy things to order, whether it's IKEA or anywhere to have it delivered, there's one extra step. You have to order it to be delivered to your apartment. Because if you just say you want it delivered to your address, they will literally just drop it outside of your apartment building. If you're living in an apartment, they'll just drop it outside of your apartment building and phone you and say, hi, we're dropping your delivery off out here. So we have to take particular care when we order things to say we want it delivered to the apartment. And in the case of the couch, because the couch came in 3 parts, we requested specifically that it be set up for us. And the salesperson said, absolutely, no problem, no problem, absolutely. So we had to wait 8 weeks for that couch to come. And when the couch arrived, first we had been given a day or two notice saying the delivery was going to be there so that we could make sure that we were going to be home. And then that morning they called us again to make sure that we were home, to let us know they were on the way to deliver the sofa. And so we're all excited, and the guys arrive, and Jeff went downstairs to the street because we have a gate in front of our apartment building, and there's also the entrance door that was going to have to be held open, and we knew that the boxes were going to be huge. So Jeff wanted to go downstairs and facilitate them getting it up to our apartment. So the boxes were too big to fit in the elevator. Each section was in one gigantic box. So they brought them into our apartment, and they literally just sat them down in the center of the floor of the living room. And they said, here, sign this paper. And I said, whoa, 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 where are you going? And they said, that's it, you have it. You have all the parts. And I said, no, you're supposed to set it up. And he looks at a paper and he said, no, madame, no, you did not ask for that. And I said, oui, monsieur, oui, I did ask for that. And my husband knew that I asked for that because we made sure, my husband had said to me in the store, make sure they're going to set it up, which I said directly to the salesperson, make sure you add that on. And she said, I'm putting it in the order right now. So the delivery man is saying, no, it's not on the order. So I asked him to call, and he said he didn't have time to call. This was our very first experience with a situation like this. He said, I don't have time to call. I have to make another delivery. So you have to call the store. So there were 2 guys that had carried these pieces up 3 flights of stairs because we're on the 2nd floor in our building. And so the 1st floor is 0. So it was literally 3 flights, and our stairwell goes sort of around in a circle. But fortunately, it's not narrow. There was enough room for them to get it up here. So they had gotten it all the way up here. So then they were going to leave without taking the boxes with them. The boxes were about the size of refrigerator boxes, well, actually bigger than refrigerator boxes in the US. And there were 3 of them, and they were just standing here like giant pillars in the living room. And I had to demand that they take the boxes. And I said to them, look, you're not going to put the couch together. We ordered that. Now you're refusing to take the boxes? We have no place to put the boxes. Where would you like us to do it? So they sort of appeased me. I think they could tell they were not leaving our apartment without taking the boxes. So they then took the boxes. So then I got on the phone and I immediately called looking for our salesperson at the Cove store here in Nice. And she got on the phone and I said, your men just delivered our brand new couch and they refused to put it together. And she said, well, you have to order that. And I said, I did order that. So she went to her computer where I know she had added it. Jeff saw her add it. I saw her type it in. She pulled it up and she said, no, madame, it's not listed here. And I insisted that we ordered the sofas to be put together. I said, there's no way we would have ordered this and not asked you to put it together. So she said, well, I'll tell you what, I will talk to my manager and we'll see if we can get the delivery men to come back in a little while and put them together for you. Hours went by. This was in the morning. At 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the evening, Jeff and I are looking at each other. We still hadn't heard anything. I called the store. She's gone for the day. And so he said, forget it. I'll just do it myself. He had no clue how to link them together initially, but he managed to figure it out. So the very next day, we get an email asking us to leave a review, letting Cove know how happy we are with our purchase and the delivery. You know where this is going, right? So before I did that review, I emailed our salesperson again, and I reminded her that we technically were still waiting for her to get back to us because the furniture, I didn't tell her that Jeff had put the furniture together. I said, you promised us you'd get back to us in a little while yesterday and send your delivery people back. You did not. And she said, well, I'm really sorry. And she said, let me talk to my manager and I'll get back to you. We never heard from her again. About a week later, I got a reminder that I hadn't done our review. I called her again. And I reminded her that we still had not ever gotten a response back from her or her manager. And she apologized and she said, I'm going to talk to my manager again, but here's an email address. Why don't you write to this email address and express your dissatisfaction with how the delivery went on this? And maybe they will refund some of the money you paid. I said, fine. I'm going to do that before I leave a review. And maybe you could stop asking me, or your store could stop sending me reminders to review the delivery, because if I post how we really felt about this part of the sale, it wouldn't be very nice. And she said, oh, no, I promise. You write the letter, and I'm sure somebody will get back to you. Well, here it is. I think we had the delivery in July of 2024, and now we're in September of 2025. Never did get a response to that email. Fortunately, Jeff figured out how to put the couch together. It's together. I don't know if it's perfect. We're assuming this is the way it's supposed to be. It works. It's supposed to have pieces that slide in and out to make it either a straight couch or the center piece has a chaise that goes out. I sort of thought one of the other sides did too, but that one doesn't really go out as far as this one. We've just sort of like given up and said, okay, I guess this is just the way it is. Now, as I said, we never really tell people about it. It was one experience and we just write it off to, okay, we're just never going to do business with Cav again. And if anybody ever asks us how that went, we're going to be honest with other people and tell them this is how it went. I never did do their online review, although now that I'm thinking about it, maybe I should. I don't know. What purpose will it serve? So that was our very first negative experience with customer service after the sale. So we went a long time without having any really negative situations with customer service anywhere else. I think a really long time. I mean, it's not an everyday occurrence, but when it happens, it's just, for me anyway, it is so annoying. Now, Jeff looks at things differently. With Jeff, well, first let me tell you about the second problem. I love shopping in Sephora. Sephora has always been my favorite makeup store to get lost in. And back in the mid-90s, when I made my very first trip to Paris, Sephora had just opened its doors on the Champs-Élysées in Paris. And I went in there, and it was the coolest store because the salespeople, they were all dressed in black smocks, and they had one black glove on and nothing on the other hand. And it was so chic, and it was fun to just get lost in Sephora. And I did. Every time I went to Paris, I went to Sephora. I am probably, I want to say I'm one of their longest clients, customers, worldwide. This is before there were Sephoras in the United States. And it was maybe a few years before I actually ever found another Sephora. And I don't think I found that one until I went to Miami, or it may have been New York, one of those places. I found a Sephora in the United States, and I was like, wow, Sephora. So for the most part, I have done, I want to say 95% of my cosmetic shopping in Sephora. And this was before you could really shop on the internet. I was shopping in Sephora. And then when Sephora had a website, I was shopping online at Sephora. And I loved Sephora because they had everything you could possibly think of. And it was great if you were on vacation someplace and it was a rainy day, for me anyway. I could just go into Sephora and go play, go sample things, try makeup on, and if you timed it right, you'd show up and one of their makeup people would offer you a free little makeover for the day, and it was wonderful. So I was like one of their loyalist clients. And when we moved here to France, to Nice, we have two Sephoras. We have one at the mall that's literally almost across the street from where we live. And then there's another Sephora about a 5-minute walk away on the boulevard, on Boulevard Jean Médecin. That's 5 minutes away. And that's an even bigger store. Not as big as the one in Paris, but it's a nice store. And so when I'm looking for makeup, I'll take a walk over to Sephora and buy makeup. And for the most part, I have never, ever had a problem with anything that I ever bought from Sephora. This is like, we're talking almost 30 years of dealing with Sephora, both in person in the store and online. So a little over a week ago, I walked into the Sephora and I had heard about this new makeup. It's by Anastasia Beverly Hills. And I've been using her eyeshadows and some other highlighters and other things. But I was watching one of the other YouTube creators who is a makeup artist, a makeup artist who lives in Paris. And she has her own channel. And she was talking about this foundation, a blurring second skin matte foundation from Anastasia Beverly Hills. Now, of course, she's a makeup artist. She gets all of these things for free to try and talk about. And she was raving about it. And I decided that I wanted to try it. So I went over to our local Sephora over on Boulevard Jean Médecin. And I already had makeup on. I mean, my normal go-to makeup is Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation. And I've been using that for years and years and years. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to give the Anastasia Beverly Hills foundation a try. So I walked in and I asked the salesperson to help me pick a shade that was right for me. So she started picking up sample bottles and trying things on my face. And I didn't even think about it at the time, but she never took any makeup remover and removed the foundation that I had where she was putting the samples. So she was putting foundation samples from testers on my face on top of other makeup I was wearing. And there I am, I'm just so excited that I'm going to try this new makeup that I'm not even thinking about the fact that I should have said, let's back it up there, lady. How about we clean my face where you're going to be putting samples so we get an accurate idea of how this is going to look on me and what the right color is. Okay, so I made a mistake and she is supposed to know better. So she selected the shade. She actually picked up two. She put one on one part of my face, one on another, and she said, no, this one's not good, but definitely this one. This is definitely your shade. And so I said, oh, thank you, okay. And I went and I paid for it. And then I was so excited about it that I came home and I washed my face and I put this on my face, and it made me look like, well, if I say the orange clown, you'll know what I mean, right? Well, that isn't how I wanted to look. So I had to wash it all off and put my regular makeup back on, and I just simply decided, okay, I'm just going to take this back. The next chance I get, I'm going to go back to Sephora and return it. And I'm used to dealing with Sephora online. Online it says, you know, if you have a problem, easy returns, even in the US. If you had a problem with the store or anything you bought in the store, you could walk back into the store and you could simply say, I don't like this, I need to return it. You have your receipt. They take the product back, they give you a refund, smile, say thank you, or they help you find something else. So this was my very first experience walking back into the Sephora 5 minutes down the street from me, and I walked to the cash, which is the cash register where you have to return things, and I said to the woman, I said, here's my receipt. I have a fidelity card, which is the equivalent of the loyalty club that they have in the US. There's a separate one in France. In fact, the system is totally different. So even if you had lots of points, if you bought things in Sephora in the US, you get points. If you're a VIB member, well, that VIB member doesn't transfer to France. And so here in France, you have to become part of their fidelity club, and they give you a number, and it's a virtual card. So I said to her, I'm a virtual club member. I show her the card on the Sephora website here in France, and I said, I bought this a few days ago and I don't like it. And she said, what's wrong with it? And I said, well, when I got home and put it on, it looked a lot different than it did here in the store. And I said it was just too dark for me and it made my face look orangey, and it just didn't look natural at all. And she said, oh, you tried it? And I said, well, yes. How would I know that I don't like it? And she said, oh, well, then I can't take it back. This is not the United States. And I said, well, why? I'm not happy with it. I don't want this. And she said, well, Madame, you should have tried it before you bought it. And I said, I did. I was with your salesperson who selected the color for me. And I said she put it on top of makeup that I was already wearing instead of washing my other makeup off first and then applying the testers to see which one was the right one. I said she didn't do it. And honestly, I didn't think about it at the time. And I guess she forgot. I don't know. So I said, I'm not happy with it. And I'd like to exchange it for another color. And she said, I can't take it back. And I said, this was 52 euros. 52 euros. And she said, pas mon problème, madame. Like, not my problem. And I said, I can't believe you're not going to take this back. I'm unhappy with it. What happened to customer satisfaction? And she said, what happened to checking the product before you buy it to make sure you're 100% sure that this is what you want, that this was right for you? I said, so you're not going to take it back. I said, I'd even take a credit. I shop here all the time. I said, I am one of Sephora's longest customers. Again, with the shrugged shoulders. She calls somebody else over. She explains to them, I'm trying to return it. They pull it out of the box, and they look at the bottle, and they go, no. Put it back in the box. They hand it back to me. They hand me the receipt. They said, désolé, madame, and then look to the next person in line. La prochaine? Next. I was so furious, so angry that this happened. 52 euros, when you're living on your Social Security, that's a lot of money. And 52 euros in US dollars is a lot, particularly considering the US dollar isn't very good nowadays. Fortunately, I was spending euros, I wasn't spending dollars, but still, 52 euros is a lot. So Jeff was waiting outside the store with the dog, and I came outside and I said, I am so angry, they won't give me my money back. And I explained what had happened, and he said, how much was it? And I said, 52 euros. And he pulls his wallet out, and he goes, here, let me give you the 52 euros. Let's not be angry about it. Let's just forget it. I'll give you 52 euros. And I said, no, that isn't the point. It's not about you giving me 52 euros. It's the principle of the thing. I spent 52 euros. And I didn't like the makeup, and they're telling me not their problem, and this is not the United States. Well, of course I know it's not the United States. So I refused to take Jeff's 52 euros. I mean, the 52 euros was literally, it's coming out of the same bank account my 52 euros came out of, so that's just doubling the loss. So when I came home, I decided to write a letter to customer service with Sephora. I went on their website and I found the customer service link and I described the problem. And I got a response 2 days later from somebody who said, dear Madame Scott, very sorry to hear about your experience with the makeup, that you're not very happy with it. And he said, I suggest you take it back to the store and perhaps they can assist you with it and make you happy. What? Take it back to the store and they can assist me? I wrote back to him and I said, did you even read the letter that I sent to you? And I should add, the letter that I sent in French, not in English. I sent it in French, telling them how I was very unhappy about the way I was treated in the store and how I was very unhappy about the fact that I was out 52 euros for a product that made me look like an orange clown that I don't want to use and have no intention of ever buying again or keeping. I got no response from that guy. So then I love these websites. Then I get an email asking me to review my experience with customer service. It just goes on and on and on. So of course, my response was, my experience with your customer service was terrible. And then I explained what had happened in the store. I said, I wrote this letter and I explained that when I went to the store, I had a bad experience. They refused to take the product back. They told me they didn't care. They told me this is not the United States. They told me it's not their problem that I'm not happy with it and I'm out 52 euros. And your customer service response was, oh, perhaps you should take it back to the store and see if they can assist you with this. Really? Jeff keeps telling me, forget it, let it go. Just let it go. Let it go. Well, what can I say? I'm an American. I can't let it go. 52 euros is still 52 euros. I ended up going to Galeries Lafayette to the Estee Lauder department because I was really out of foundation. And I just bought another bottle of the Estee Lauder foundation that I always buy. But I'm not done with this. I am not done with this. I'm starting to think that maybe the problem was that I said that I used it, that I tried it. So now I'm sending Jeff back to Sephora. I'm not going with him in case they remember what I look like. So I'm sending Jeff to Sephora with the makeup and the receipt, and he's going to sort of play dumb. Hi, I'm here to return this. It's the wrong color. We purchased it. We thought it said something else, but it doesn't. It has the wrong color. We'd like to return it. Not even going to mention trying it to find out that it was really the wrong color. And we'll see what happens. So we're going to let Jeff go to Sephora and see what happens.
I'm here to try out to return an item to Sephora. Let's see how it plays out. Okay?
Jeff is like a duck out of water here. He has no clue what he's doing. I told him where to go, but now he's stopping to ask somebody. Okay, here he comes. Let's see what happens.
I'm sorry. You used it. You cannot return it once you used it.
Did you say you didn't use it? Did you say it wasn't used? So, if you want something done, do it yourself. Here's what happened. Jeff went in. The lady said, oh, we can't take it back. It was used, blah, blah, blah. Now I'm really mad because customer service online has told me twice now, I don't understand what the problem is. Just take it to the store and they'll return it. So this time I went inside and I asked for the manager. And I explained to the manager everything that actually happened. How I came in here, how I worked with the salesperson, she put the tester on top of other makeup, gave me the wrong color, I went home, tried it on, it was terrible, blah, blah, blah. So I think the fact that I told the manager that customer service in Paris told me twice, we can't help you here, this problem can be resolved, just go to the store and they'll take care of it. And he said, well, it's true. We don't take things back if you tried them. He understood. He said since the salesperson was in error when she tried the makeup on and she didn't take your makeup off first and gave you the wrong color, I can understand why you would be upset. He said, so I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to take it down. He said, in the future, be very mindful. If somebody is testing makeup on you, make them take your makeup off first. Had they done that, you wouldn't have ended up with the wrong makeup. So the manager was very nice. I thanked him profusely. He apologized for basically the negligence on the part of the salespeople. And he said, this is the way it is in France. He said, we're going to make an exception because it was our person who sold you the wrong color. So, in the end, I won this battle. But did I win the war? Who knows? And the third issue with customer service, totally different topic. Jeff and I are planning this wonderful cruise for a lot of December. And it took me probably a couple of weeks of working with different salespeople online to pick just the right cruise. And our cruise is a cruise to Asia, Hong Kong, Vietnam, Thailand, Singapore. It's going to be a fabulous cruise. So we finally select the cruise. We get a price that we're happy with. We figure it's going to be the cruise of a lifetime, the trip of a lifetime. Neither of us has ever been to Asia. The departure is going to be 2 days before the cruise begins, because it takes 2 days to get to Hong Kong, and we wanted to have 2 nights in Hong Kong, or 2 days in Hong Kong before we actually get on a cruise ship. Well, we had forgotten to space in or find a cruise that starts allowing a little bit of extra time. And my son is going to be visiting us at that part of December, and the last night that he'll be here is the day that the tour guy that was booking our cruise was going to have us leaving Nice. So I said to him, no, you can't book flights that day. Book them for the next day. And the flights, he told us, flights leave in the morning, early in the morning. And I said, great, that's the day after he leaves, an early morning flight, not a problem. And that's what we expected. So I didn't get the confirmation on the flights after we made payment for part of the cruise. We hadn't gotten confirmation on the flights, and I just wanted to know when the flights were leaving, because we were coordinating with a trusted house sitter who's going to come and take care of our little dog Bella. And so he sent me flights that were leaving later in the evening the next day, not first thing in the morning. So now everything was getting screwed up. So I said to him, no, you said the flights were first thing in the morning. We need the flights to be first thing in the morning. And he said, listen, at the moment, I am so busy selling cruises, the best people to talk to are the people in the back office. The back office people, they deal with all of my clients. After I book the cruise, then you switch over and you deal with the people in the back office. They're very nice, very fast, very accommodating. He said, send them a message real quick before they confirm your flights and tell them to make sure it's the early flights, because that's when you want to leave. So I sent them a message, an email, to the address he gave me. And I said, I just wanted to remind you before you confirm flights. And I gave him the name of our salesperson, and I said, he told me to tell you before you confirm the flights, we want to make sure it's the early morning flight out of Nice, so that we have lots of time. Since we're not going to have 2 nights in Hong Kong now, we're only going to have one full day. We want to get there as early as possible in that day. So I sent the email, and I didn't hear anything. So I sent a second email, and I said, hello? Well, all right, not like that, but I said, I sent you an email a few days ago telling you that I want to make sure that when you book our flights, that we're getting these earlier flights. The salesperson had said the flights are in the morning. I don't want later flights because we're only going to be in Hong Kong for one full day. And then the next day after that, we have to get on the cruise. So we want as much time as possible. I haven't heard back from you. And so we got a response one more day later, and this time it's confirmation of your flights. And they had totally ignored my emails, asking them to confirm that they were daytime flights. And they said, the email from them says, we have just confirmed your flights, here they are. Just confirmed meaning you just did it today. And for the last, I don't know, over a week, I've been emailing you saying, please just confirm you're going to get us those early morning flights. So I sent an email to the salesperson and I said, I'm really upset. Your people booked us later flights in the day. I have been emailing them now for a week, asking them to make sure before they confirm the flights that these are the early morning flights you said we were going to get. So I see these flights. Things are now screwed up. Jeff's unhappy because we're not going to have a whole full day and evening in Hong Kong before the day we leave on our cruise. And he said, well, we need to change the flights. We got to get the early flights. Supposedly we were going to have early morning flights. So I contacted cruise company and I said, why did you book us evening flights? I've sent you 2 emails asking you to make sure you book us on the early morning flights so that we have all this extra time in Hong Kong. And this time they responded fairly quickly. It was only half a day. And they said, okay, here are some flights that are available that we can change to. But there'll be a 250 euro change fee. So a total of 500 euros to change your flights from the later in the evening flights to first thing in the morning flights. So I messaged them back and I said, wait a minute. I've been emailing you, telling you not to book evening flights. I've been emailing you, asking you to book the early morning flights. And she comes back to me and she says, but the fees, the 250 change fee, that's set by the airline. I said, but had you read my emails and not ignored my emails, we would have been booked on the flights we wanted. Instead, you just booked the flights you wanted to book and didn't bother looking at earlier flights until after I got back to you and said, hey, I've been emailing you for over a week asking for early flight. If you had read my emails before you even booked and confirmed the flights, we would not be stuck paying 250 euros per person to change the flights. So we're stuck with the 500 euros. I haven't gotten a response to that email. I guess there's nothing they're going to do about it. So when people ask us, is there anything you're not happy with about living in France? I guess that's it. Sometimes you just have to deal with customer service, and in France, the customer is not always right. There is no real obvious concern about customer satisfaction. And so when things are good and great, they're good and great. But when something goes wrong, I'm sad to say, don't count on winning the argument, the battle. It is what it is. As I said, we're always telling people how wonderful life is living here in France and how there is nothing we regret. Well, there is nothing we regret. But life is not always 100% wonderful. And we do have frustrations here, primarily dealing with customer service departments. So if you're moving to France, all I can say is, when it happens to you, don't say I didn't warn you. And boy, if you ever get to be the winner, on the winning end of an argument with customer service people, comment below. We'd sure like to hear about it. So this is life in France. C'est la vie. I will say that the pluses far, 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 far outweigh the negatives. Thanks for watching my video. And again, if you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Help us grow this channel. We are working on our first 10,000 subscribers. And sadly, we do have a little bit of a way to go. So give me a thumbs up on the video. Leave comments below if you've had experiences with customer service here in France. And if you haven't, be ready and don't expect to win. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know